everyone. Welcome back. Here we are again in Power Hour Podcast. I'm very excited to bring you today's guest, Miss Patty Ortiz, who's also now one of my good friends, and you'll see why. I have Patty here for a number of reasons, but first, let me introduce you to Miss Patty. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome. Okay, jumping in, my favorite thing to ask a new guest. Adjective, 3 of them that describe you.
Blessed.
Okay.
Grit.
Ooh.
And grateful.
All right. Okay, Patty. So, for those of you who don't know Patty, she's a mom, she's a powerhouse, she has done a number of things, but one thing that really resonated with me is because, I wanted to be an astronaut, but I never became one. Patty is a NASA engineer. So very smart. And that obviously, all joking aside, to become an engineer at NASA and a Latina and a mom and married and you have a life and that is intriguing to me. And I want that story to be shared. So I'm going to jump right in. Did you know as a little girl that you wanted to be an engineer?
Yeah, so for me, this started when I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I watched an episode of Punky Brewster. I'm not sure if you remember Punky Brewster. For those people that don't know who she is, She was a little 10-year-old that wore bright clothing, and she had a dog named Brandon, and she had a single dad that adopted her. And the episode was about her wanting to be an astronaut. And on the show came Buzz Aldrin. And the premise of the show was that the kids ended up finding out about the Challenger incident. So the explosion. They don't show the explosion on the episode, but it's understood that they see it. And a lot of people were sad and they were impacted. By the end of the episode, because Buzz Aldrin comes on the show, she continues to be motivated and excited about becoming an astronaut. And by the end of the episode, it was 21 minutes long. I was hooked.
No.
I was 7 and I didn't know what I needed to do to get there, to work for NASA, to become an engineer, but I was going to find out.
You found out what NASA was in that episode. That was the first time you had ever heard of.
Yeah, that was the first time I had ever heard of the space industry, NASA, being an engineer. And that's when my dream began. I was just hooked.
Wow. Okay, where did you grow up and what is your background? Your parents, what did they do?
So I grew up in South Central. So now they call it Mid-City.
Okay.
It wasn't as fancy back then, but so I grew up a single mom, 5 of us, and I was the youngest of 5. And so I was the first one to go to college and graduate from the 5 of us. My big brother actually, he did it backwards, and there's no right or wrong in the way you do things.
Of course not.
He had his family first, and then, as a 45-year-old, he went back and he got his degree, his bachelor's and his master's. So very proud of him.
Very proud. Mm-hmm. Me too.
Absolutely. So
very good. So, okay, the youngest of 5, what kind of support did you get as a 7-year-old watching Punky Brewster, now saying, I'm going to be an engineer, not knowing, and I assume your family did not know any engineers or anyone in NASA in South Central. What kind of support or non-support or no behavior whatsoever did you get growing up?
So my mom was very supportive in that, so she was a house cleaner. So she cleaned houses for a living. She came here from El Salvador, fleeing for a better life for us. And so she cleaned houses her entire life. And she always told me, when she was cleaning around the house and I would be studying, she would always tell me, keep studying because I don't want you to be a cleaner. I don't want you to. There's nothing wrong with being a cleaner. It's a hardworking, good job.
Yeah, it's hard life.
It's a hard life. It's labor intensive.
Yeah.
She would come home extremely tired to make dinner and take care of us. But yeah, she always definitely encouraged me to keep studying. But as far as her helping me with my math homework or any of my homework, that wasn't gonna happen. Her background is her mom passed away when she was 7, and so she was basically kind of a floater with her 4 siblings, and so she went to school up to 9th grade.
Got it. Okay, so then you're in school. Did you have a natural aptitude for math and science?
Yes.
So coincidentally,
wow. I wanted to be an engineer, and I happened to be pretty good at math, science, physics.
At what age did the teachers realize, okay, you're really good at this? And
so actually 2nd grade, I was in public school, and they wanted to skip me a grade. And my mom did not want me to be in a class with older kids. And so that's when she pulled me out of public school, and she put me into private school, which was a big sacrifice for her to pay for that. But she felt it was worth it for our education and everything, even if it, was going to cost more to do that. Yeah. So actually, interesting story about that. So she used to take care of a 95-year-old, and I used to go over that. She used to take me, and I would be there playing, and she kind of got to know me, and she fell in love with me, and I was very nice to her and everything. Well, she took care of her for 7 years, and when she passed away, she actually left money to pay for my education.
Come on.
So
gee,
what a blessing.
What? Oh. And so she clearly knew and saw as you were growing that you were a gifted, academically gifted student. Trusted your mom. Your mom took care of her. And how old were you when she passed?
Probably maybe 11, wow. 10 or 11.
Very formative years.
Mm-hmm.
So she passes, and then you're able to continue at the private school because of this money. I'm sure helped by that money.
Absolutely, because as you get older, the private schools get a little bit more expensive, especially the high school. And so I wanted to make sure that I went to a good school that had college prep. And so that was very, feasible for us with the help of this wonderful lady. I love that. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that part of it. How was socializing as a teenager, going through high school and stuff? I assume then you did go to a college prep school, so the kids were probably more academically advanced than most, I guess. And
yeah, so I went to a Catholic all-girls high school, predominantly Latina, and then very few other ethnicities, a few Asian, and I don't ever remember actually a Caucasian student.
No. Oh, what a special experience.
Yeah.
And this was a private school?
A private school.
Which one?
Bishop Conady, Our Lady of Loretto.
Sure.
It's right in downtown.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're there and you're with similarly situated girls.
Yes.
And so I assume they were supportive of you wanting to go into college prep and higher education. I'm asking because compared to the public school experience, a lot of the kids unfortunately are not that focused on that.
Yeah, definitely they were very focused. So the curriculum was set up to put most of the girls in a good situation to be able to apply to the universities, right? So there's a lot of kids that go through maybe the public school system or even another school that once they get to maybe 10th, 11th grade, they realize, well, wait a minute, I wasn't taking the right classes to be able to pursue those degrees. And so for me, I definitely was focused on the STEM, right? So the math, the physics, so I was loading up on all those courses, math, science, physics.
And they were just like easy for you? Well, not easy, but not super challenging. Like struggling to get a C over here. It's the truth. I have nothing to hide.
So
struggled.
It came fairly easy for me, but I still applied myself. Right?
Of course, yeah.
An A- was not good enough. It was like, what?
And you were your own worst critic.
Absolutely. So I just made sure that, so I would get nervous during tests. And so in order to defeat that, I would overstudy and make sure that I knew it backwards and forwards. And even if I was nervous, I was going to be okay.
Okay.
And make the grade.
Wow. Okay, so then you get through high school and then you apply to college. What did that look like for you?
So I ended up the salutatorian. So that means
I don't even know what that means, and I'm very smart.
So valedictorian is number 1, is the highest GPA. Salutatorian is the second.
Okay, that's fine. Fine.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, and so
do people know that?
Yeah.
That word?
Yeah.
You know that word?
So the honor that you get is the valedictorian gets to say the farewell at graduation, and the salutatorian gets to say the welcome.
Okay.
So I got to say the welcome, and it was, amazing to do that. And so I started prepping for the college that I would want to go to.
Which was?
So I wanted to go to UC. And
why?
So they have amazing engineering programs, and honestly, I was afraid to leave the state.
Why?
Well, first of all, a strategy that I took when applying to colleges was that I applied to only colleges that were 2 hours away or further, because had I applied to USC, UCLA, my mom was not going to let me leave the house.
Oh.
Impossible. She was not going to let me.
And you were ready to leave the house?
Yes.
Very ready.
Very ready to leave the house.
So although mom supported you academically and wanted you to soar, you were not leaving that house if you didn't have to.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's, I think it's a little bit of our culture, right? Letting the girl leave the home. The baby.
Oof.
Leave the home.
By herself?
By myself. 2 hours away or more. Not happening under her watch.
So you intentionally...
I intentionally. So when you apply to the UC system, all it is a check mark, right? So you get to check mark 3 UCs. And I purposely did not apply to UCLA, which I love.
Of course, yeah.
Those are my hometown schools, right? USC, UCLA. And I purposely did not check off UCLA. Oh my God. So it was between UC San Diego, UC Berkeley, and UC Santa Barbara.
But you didn't apply to anywhere out of the state?
Not out of state.
Why? Because you were scared?
Yeah, I was scared.
Of what?
Of leaving the nest. I guess there was a codependency a bit with my mom. Mm-hmm. I always felt like I was in charge of taking care of her in a sense. And so I felt that if I was too far, how could I help her? How could I help her fill out forms? Or, and she spoke English, but she struggles a little bit with filling out forms and, little things that we're in charge of. Mm-hmm. as the English dominant person in the house. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I didn't apply out of state.
And just expanding on that, why were your siblings not helping? Just was it kind of it all fell on you because you were the one that just always helped?
So I'm the youngest, and the next oldest is 7 years older. So, and he left the house at 17, and my sister left at 15. So everybody flew the nest very early. Yeah, my older brother, my two older brothers, and my sister, they were all born in El Salvador. And the two older brothers, they didn't like it here, and so they went back to El Salvador.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so so then they're back in El Salvador, the two oldest, and so then it's only the three of us here in the U.S. Sister's married, and brother is also, got married and had started having kids as well. So I was left with my mom.
Oh yeah, you were just there.
Yep.
Okay, so what school did you get into?
So I got into all the UCs that I had applied to, and it came down to UC San Diego or UC Berkeley. And so I visited the campuses, and I fell in love with UCSD. And it was the perfect distance away.
Not too far, not too close.
Absolutely. Yeah, not too far, not too close. I could still get back home. And at the time, I didn't even drive. So I don't know how I was going to get, just going to take the train.
Yeah. Which is so fun.
Yeah. It is very fun.
I love that train.
The train ride to San Diego is the best.
So fun. Okay, so then you get into school. You're there now in a much bigger setting than you've ever been in. What did you immediately know what your goals were there when you started?
So I knew for a while that I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. And so I applied under that major, aerospace engineering. And for me, it was culture shock completely.
Why?
Going to the university, because I grew up in a school where the majority is, Latinas for high school, and no exposure to no Caucasians, other classmates at all.
Or boys.
Holy
moly.
And then the elementary school that I went to was predominantly African American, and there was a few Latinos, but that's it. So I wasn't exposed to as many other cultures, and so it was a big culture shock at the university, with all the cultures, and
a shock in a good way or bad way? Like, did it take you a while to adjust?
No, I'm very social, and so for me, it's like the more friends, the better.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I've made lifelong friends. I'm still friends with the people that I met freshman year in college. I think you just gravitate right at the dorm, to your people.
Yeah,
and those are still my people to this.
So cool.
To this day. So now everybody's married with kids, and we actually have a group thread, the 10 of us, and during the pandemic, they were definitely my support system. A lot of them are business owners, and between us, there's, doctors, lawyer, entrepreneurs,
wonderful,
engineer, everything.
That's great. What a great group. And that you stayed together for so long, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a gift. That's really beautiful. Okay, so now you're in college, having the time of your life, learning, and on your way to aerospace engineer. So graduation comes. What are you thinking? Where are you going next?
So I started to get nervous because there was another shuttle incident. and people started, the naysayers started to say, you're not going to find a job. You might want to consider changing majors. And that for me is a driving force to, oh, really? Right. No, I'm going to get a job. Right. That doesn't work for me when I hear the naysayers.
And quickly, for people that maybe didn't understand the time that happened for you, NASA was the only space company or space-oriented business that was doing anything in sending shuttles. There was no Blue Origin. There was no, what's the other one? All the other ones.
SpaceX.
Mm-hmm. Hi, sorry, Elon. Mm-hmm. There weren't the private companies. It was the government-run NASA, for the most part that we knew of.
For the most part. So how NASA works, we always partner with industry, right? So the Boeing company actually had a NASA contract, right? And so NASA contracts them to design the shuttle and engineer it, build it. And so even though NASA is the face of it, there are industry partners that are assisting NASA.
They do the parts.
In the big picture.
Yeah. So you see another shuttle incident, and that gives you more fuel because people are telling you, what are you doing? This is not a smart idea for a career.
Yeah. So one thing that I should have mentioned is I excelled in high school, but once I got to college and I got into engineering school, oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah, you're in the middle. You're in the midst of the top scholars, right, in your classes. These are all the straight A students. Ooh. And I had to study really hard, and it was, there was tears. I was sweating, and it was difficult. It was not easy in any sense. Engineering school is not a walk in the park.
And that was the first time you actually felt the pressure. This is extremely difficult.
Yes. Once I got to college, that's when the real schoolwork began. I think elementary and junior high and high school, that's just your base, base, your foundation that's going to allow you to build on those base concepts and then build on that and become that engineer, right? And it was difficult. You're taking calc courses, 6 calc courses, physics, and dynamics, everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you got through it.
I did.
And pretty well, I'm sure. Then where'd we go?
So in college, I tried to stay volunteering with an organization, and it was called Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And all throughout college, I stayed very involved with them, and I always held a position in that organization. As a senior, I was the president of SHIP. And as a junior, I went to this conference. And at that conference, I was partnered with a industry professional from the Boeing company. And I was on his team. And there was 10 of us. And I think that first impressions are important.
Always.
And I was on his team, and we ended up winning at the conference. There was a little competition, lots of university students competing against each other. And I was on his team, and I made a good first impression with him. We won. Fast forward to my senior year, I'm walking through another conference, and you see, all the booths lined up. It's very overwhelming. It's just a sea of people, and I'm walking by, and that professional sees me.
From 4 years earlier?
No, a year.
Oh, okay.
Earlier.
Okay.
A year earlier. He sees me, and he's like, hey, he calls me over, and he says, hey, Patty, how are you? We are looking to interview people. Aren't you a senior this year? And I said, yes. And he said, "Are you interested in coming to work for the Boeing company?"
Oh my God.
And I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Okay, we're going to be interviewing today. We made the appointment, come back at this time." I came back to the booth and I was interviewed right then and there. So it was 3.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, it was pressure. I had 3 engineer managers that were, just
peppering you with questions.
Peppering me.
And you have to bam. And they're cold calling you basically in a job interview at a conference.
Right. So it's not like I had a ton of time to research, anything besides the company. I quickly, made sure that I knew
what they make.
Yeah, exactly. But so they were peppering me with questions, and I felt very confident leaving that interview. Had nothing to lose, right? It was an interview, and if I didn't get it, it was okay. There was going to be other interviews anyhow. So I just relaxed. I tried to relax, and I did my best, and I was myself, and I knew my stuff. So when they were peppering me with questions, I was shining. Wow. And so I leave there. Oh, they tell me at the end of the interview that they're going to be making decisions today to keep my phone on me.
Oh my God.
And so I did. And I left there feeling pretty confident, but, still a little bit nervous.
Sure.
I'm nervous. And so I leave, and I have, at that time, one of the rinky-dink Nokia phones. And I wasn't so it was in Texas. The conference was in Texas, and I wasn't getting a good signal.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, right? This is 2003.
Oh no.
Cell phone signal was terrible. And I say, you know what? I don't want to risk anything. I'm going to go up to the booth and tell them, "Hey, I'm sorry. I don't have signal. I'm not sure if you called me, but I was told that you're going to be making decisions." So I did that.
So smart.
And so they looked at their list, and they said, "Oh yeah, we did call you." Yeah.
And your phone never picked up?
No, I missed the call, but they said, "Oh, okay, thank you for coming back. We were trying to get a hold of you." And he said, "Wait here." And so they pull me around, and they sit me down, and they said, "We'd like to make you an offer."
Oh my gosh.
For contingent on you graduating in 3 months, getting your BS in aerospace engineering. We'd like you to come work for the Boeing company for the passive thermal control systems under a NASA contract. Oh my God. As an engineer scientist 1. And here is your offer letter, and it had my name and my salary.
And your eyes popped out of your head, probably.
Yes. I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it.
Oh.
My dream job offer letter right in front of me, 3 months before graduation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
You still seem stunned by that.
Yes, absolutely. Because I know how competitive it is to get an offer from, one of the top industry partners under a NASA contract. Oh, the clincher at the end was, "Oh, by the way, this position is in Houston, Texas.
Shit.
Are you okay with relocating?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Yes. Sorry, Mom. Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Whoa. That was like a no-brainer. You're like, I'm out of here.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you had already lived away now 4 years.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I feel like it just happened. Like, this is just so congratulations.
Thank you. It's been 19 years.
What the hell? Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Like, my heart's beating for you. I was so like cliffhanger. Oh. So what do you tell Mom? Who's the first person you call?
Mom.
What do you say?
"Mom, I just got a job offer."
Ooh.
and it's in Houston. And she says, "Oh no, tan lejos."
That's the only thing she said.
Yeah.
Which means, oh, so far. Oh, how funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it took her a while to get comfortable with the idea that I was leaving the state. By the way, even though I didn't follow that advice to leave out of state for my college time, I 100% recommend that at some point in your life, you leave your home state.
I appreciate you saying that because I know there's a lot of students probably watching this in high school, and their parents have your kids watch this. And I've heard recently they're trying to decide, go out of state, maybe just a state over, maybe just up north, maybe just get out of here. When are you going to ever have an opportunity to spend 4 years only?
Yeah.
Get educated, new experience. It's a safe environment. You're protected, kind of. And I'm glad you brought that up. It's so important, especially for our community who is not encouraged to go out of state. It's not something I've really ever heard. It doesn't seem like a no-brainer to just go out of state. It seems go to college, yes, but go down the road.
Right.
No way. Get the hell out of here. Force yourself. But I don't know anyone.
That's okay.
It's cold. I hear it snows there.
No, that's exactly what you need to gain those experiences, the life lessons, untether yourself from, your mom, your dad. They've been your buoy system, right?
Yeah.
In life, you always have that backup, right? If you make mistakes, they're there, and they're still going to be here, even though you're in another state. It's now a little bit harder for them to get to you, right? They have to get on a plane to get to you, but
they'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to take a little bit longer. It's okay.
Okay, that's a good tip. Okay, kids and students considering college, go far. Okay, so you're still with Boeing?
No.
Okay.
No, so I stayed with Boeing for 13 years.
How was it first day on the job, by the way? First year on the job?
I felt like an imposter.
My favorite topic. Why?
So, I felt like, is someone gonna know that I'm not this fancy? I always felt that it wasn't something that we get to do. So growing up, I didn't know any family members that were engineers or anyone close to me that had any professional positions anywhere. And so, yeah, I definitely felt like an imposter on my first international trip when I went. So I used to support in Moscow.
Oh my God. This is getting deep already.
So on the International Space Station, there is a Russian segment.
Yes.
And we were studying a contingency freeze scenario. And my boss... What does that mean? So in the event that we lose power, they could potentially freeze the module because we didn't have power to heat it. And so we were studying the potential of that happening. And so my boss came to me and said, hey, I'd like you to support this project. Are you okay with going to Moscow? I said, absolutely. And so I was so excited because the people that I was traveling with were senior engineers, and I got my opportunity to go out there fairly early, just a few years into the position. My boss trusted me with being out there and representing the branch. And so, obviously if a technical question came up that I wasn't 100% sure about, I could always call him or email or discuss it and say, hey, I don't know right now the answer to that, but I'm going to find out. I'll let you know. Whatever the case may be, when you're across the ocean.
The different time zone.
But I remember when I was at the airport in Moscow, I'm loading up my bags, and I show up, and there's a guy, and he's holding up a sign, and it has a NASA meatball on it. And
meatball?
A NASA meatball,
the logo?
The logo, the NASA logo.
Oh, okay.
And so you're supposed to go up to him, and behind that little sign is a list of everyone he's picking up. And so I needed to make sure he doesn't speak English.
Oh, shit.
So I needed to make sure my name was on the list. And then he just grabbed my bag and he started walking so fast.
Oh my gosh.
They walk really fast in Moscow. And so I'm practically running after him, and I'm hoping this is the right person. And then we show up to an unmarked white van.
Oh no. In Russia. No.
He puts my bags in the van, and then we get in the van, and there's another NASA meatball on the head of the van. I said, oh, okay, I think I'm in the right place. So at the time I was with Boeing, and Boeing hires a company that takes care of all the logistics that go with setting up my travel and making sure that I'm safe during that trip. So that entails that person who picked me up, getting my visa set up with my passport and all that, and also getting me to the hotel. And then they also pick me up from the hotel to the job site every day.
Okay.
There and back. And that hotel is designated. Everyone there is supporting the space station. Well, there's other things going on, but we actually have an IT system there. And
nice.
When you go into your room, when you pick up the phone, it's a local Houston number. And when you log on,
it's like a movie.
Yeah, when you log on to the computer in the room, you're logging in with your NASA username and password. And
so it's like you're at the office.
Yeah, like I'm at the office.
Okay.
And they give you a briefing before you go that kind of etiquette.
Yeah.
They tell you don't go out by yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Don't wear bright clothing. Don't make yourself stand out. Okay. And also don't share who you work for.
Oh my goodness.
And so
were you scared?
I definitely felt imposter syndrome when I was in that airport. It's very busy, and I don't know. I didn't know
what the hell am I doing here.
Yes. It literally. Have you ever heard the expression? It's all Russian.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it felt.
Literally all Russian.
Literally.
And you were just, okay, we're doing this.
And the other senior engineers, they had been going, and so I was a little bit of a newbie, but they took me under their wing, and they've been working the program already at this point 20 years. Oh. And
so just aside, when you're in Boeing and the aerospace industry in general, did you see a lot of minorities? Not minorities, I hate that term. We're not minorities. People of color. Did you see a lot?
No. So I'm of Salvadorian Mexican descent, and I just met my first Salvadorian descent engineer after 19 years.
You mean you just, like, present moment?
Present moment. A few weeks ago, I met her through the Instagram space. We were able to connect. It was extremely amazing to be able to have this Instagram space that we're able to connect, because this industry does get lonely. Predominantly, it's a male, white industry. That's the majority.
Yeah.
When I graduated from college, I was the only girl that graduated my year. And for aerospace engineering.
Okay.
I was the only girl. There were some benefits
in San Diego
at UCSD. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Just making sure we all know that this is what's happening here.
This is 19 years ago, though.
But
things have gotten better. So the year,
slightly.
The year after me, there was 2 girls.
Oh.
But so there were some benefits to me being the only girl in the aerospace engineering program. When I would miss class, the professor would notice that I was gone.
Oh.
And so the next day he would say, "Hey, Miss Martinez, Ms. Martinez.
Ms.
Ms. We missed you yesterday."
Damn, you noticed.
Yeah. So that kept me accountable.
Sure.
And so
that's a good point because yes, you are in that instance a minority among a majority, especially in any higher education, any, high profession. But with that, interesting that you say that comes the accountability and the responsibility, because I think obviously more eyes are on you, singling you out, and you are different in that sense. How was Boeing? How supportive were they? Obviously, yes, you were a different, ethnicity, whatever, but did you feel that? Were you ever treated that way? Because it sounds like you had a lot of support there.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, there was sprinkles of Latinos that I met along the way. And I feel like the company was very inclusive in the mentoring process.
That's great.
Yeah. As soon as I got there, I was mentored by a senior female engineer. And she took me under her wing and she taught me everything that she knew with her 20 years under her belt.
Wow.
And we definitely have to count on the support system that exists and the resources, right? We have to make sure that we seek the help out.
Yes. If it's not there, which a lot of the time it's not because no one's been there before, Absolutely. You do have to create partnership and alliances with the people that have been there before. It's a smart business move. It's just smart.
Right. And I feel like I've had to do that all along the way, right? In high school, I didn't have anyone at home or in my family, so I had to seek out resources, do my own internet searches or find, through my high school. And then in college, absolutely, we had this program called the Minority Engineering Program. And I ended up in that office quite a bit, in tears, out of frustration for, trying to get through a class. And just that support system that I found with on-campus resources ended up being absolutely worthwhile. That's how I got connected with SHIP. And I ended up, even through my difficulties, crying and getting through these difficult engineering courses, we have something called Raza graduation. And I think a lot of universities have that. I ended up getting the Student of the Year award my senior year when I was president of SHIP. Amazing. So that was, it felt amazing just through all the hardships and tears and long hours.
Yeah.
And no sleep. Team no sleep.
Amazing. Okay. So now let's fast forward to today. Where are you? And then what's your title? And then in as layman's terms as possible, explain to me what you do. Like probably still won't understand it. Go.
Okay. So now I am a project manager for the Space Projects and Partnerships branch at NASA. And so I work...
Which is huge.
Yes, it's huge.
Very huge, FYI.
Yeah. So I am a civil servant and I'm at NASA Armstrong Flight Research Center. So that's at the Edwards Air Force Base. So 6 years ago, I was in Texas and I wanted to come back home. After 13 years, I felt like it was time. My mom was getting older. She's 84. And I said, I need to come back.
Yeah. So,
actually, interesting story how I got here. I called one of my study buddies from UCSD, just texted him and said, hey, do you know if they're hiring over there? And he said, yeah, actually, they are. Send me your resume. So I sent him my resume, and he said, oh. So he handed it to the right people, put it at the top of the pile, and I get a call right before I'm leaving to Moscow.
Oh.
And they said, hey, we want to interview you. I said, okay, when I get back from Moscow. And I get interviewed, and they fly me out, and they wanted to make sure that I wanted to work there. Because
at NASA,
at that site at Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
There's a lot of nothing up there.
Yeah.
And so
where is it close to?
So it's in Rosamond.
What's that close to?
So past Lancaster, past Palmdale.
Okay.
Keep going 14 north all the way.
Okay. In California.
In California. An hour and 30 minutes from downtown LA.
Okay. North.
Okay.
Got it. Middle of nowhere. Got it.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure you want to come here? Because you have to live there.
No, you don't have to live there. But so I live 65 miles away because I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. And that's okay. There's no traffic. My commute.
Every day?
Well, no. I work from home now.
Oh, okay.
Because of the pandemic now.
But before?
Before I was driving every day.
How long was that round trip?
An hour and 20 minutes each way. Hour 15.
Okay. But you were happy and you loved it?
Yes.
Okay.
I was happy and I loved it, and there's no traffic.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, I was listening to podcasts and music, and you just get used to it. I know a lot of people in LA drive at least an hour.
Oh, for sure.
For just
and not moving.
For just a few miles.
Exactly.
At least I'm going.
Yeah.
80.
Okay, so tell me what you do now.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
So I manage projects. I manage a space project. So I'm the deputy project manager for the Orion Heat Shield Spectrometer project that will have units on Artemis 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Artemis is a satellite or a rocket?
So
or neither. Am I way off?
Yeah. Artemis is the mission.
So off. Way off.
And so on that mission, Orion, so the OHSS, which is what we call it, the Orion Heat Shield Spectrometer Project, is a box. And that box is going to measure radiation spectrum on its way back on entry. So that box is being attached to Orion. It's already attached.
Orion is what?
The module that the crew is going to go into.
Okay. Not a space shuttle.
So Orion is the capsule, and the rocket system is SLS.
Okay.
It's the Space Launch System.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what's going to be able to get it up.
Got it.
Up there. And the box is attached to Orion, and on entry, we'll get the data. And then once it lands, we're going to grab that data, and we'll be able to update our thermal models and hopefully bring benefit to the Orion thermal protection system.
I can understand that. So this is good.
Okay.
Question. Space shuttles have come and re-entered the atmosphere many, many times over and over again. Haven't they collected that data already? Or how is this different? Is that a dumb question? It's probably not. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Because we've seen shuttles come and go, rockets come and go. Why is that important?
So every vehicle is different because of the shape, and you cannot have that data replicated on Earth. The physics of that So there's an equation in radiation, and there's an uncertainty, and that uncertainty is what we're trying to evaluate.
You cannot replicate that uncertainty. It has to only be the actual reentry.
On reentry is when we're able to capture that real-time data into the box. And that can't be replicated here on Earth. So this is the only way. And we'll be so excited when we get that data back and we're able to analyze it and assess it. So right now we're in the middle of acceptance testing for the unit for Artemis 3. Mm-hmm. And next month I'm going to be going to the Cape, so at Kennedy Space Center. Yeah. And I'll get into a bunny suit, and I'll get to, so they've already installed the box, the OHSS box, but we're doing the end-to-end checkout of that box to make sure that we're good to go.
Okay.
For Artemis 2.
Like, make sure it doesn't fall off.
No, not fall off, but that
I'm trying to understand it as best I can
to make sure that we're going to be seeing the data that we expect.
Got it.
Right. We're making sure that the metrics. Yeah. No, it's definitely not going to fall off. It's securely installed, and I actually missed the install because I was pregnant. During
work-life balance. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah, it's okay. So now there's still more missions to go, and I can go another time when they do the install.
Easy.
But so we're doing the end-to-end checkout for Artemis 2, and then simultaneously the team is working on acceptance testing. And I will actually be flying out to Houston on my first trip away from the baby.
Yay.
20 months.
Okay.
I'm still breastfeeding, so.
How are you feeling about that?
So the first night when my husband and I talked about it, I couldn't sleep.
Of course.
What
kind of mom am I? Yeah. I'm going to leave my son.
We feel like we're so important, and that he's not going to be okay without his mom. He's going to be fine.
And he's not going to remember it either.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dad is perfectly capable.
Totally.
Of taking care of him for 3 days.
Easy. It's easy.
So first night I couldn't sleep, and then the next day I woke up and I started getting excited about a little break.
The best. You could sleep uninterrupted.
Yeah, uninterrupted. I'm going to go to dinner after work and have margaritas and queso and chips and salsa.
Yes, living the dream.
And not worry about breastfeeding.
That's funny. And I love that you brought this up, because here we're talking about heat shields and, Boeing, which is absolutely important. But in the same vein, in the same conversation, we have breastfeeding to consider. We have the 20-month-old. We have the mom feelings, the mom guilt, which I'm all over that. Mm-hmm. And that absolutely ties into who you are and how successful you are at what you do. Because it's clear that you love what you do.
Yeah.
And if you didn't love what you do, we know plenty of people out there that don't love what they do necessarily. And our moms, breastfeeding, raising multiple kids, all this, Oof. And so just highlighting that it doesn't matter where you are in any level of profession or non-profession, the feelings still permeate. They still are there. And you're like, you couldn't sleep the first night. But as you did with everything else leading up to this point, you're just like, I'm just going to go for it. We're just doing it. And you're going to come back and it's going to be totally fine. And you'll realize, I could do this more often.
Yeah.
Moscow, here I come.
No, I actually booked my first non-work related girls trip.
Good girl.
A little weekend out to the Texas wine country.
Oh, Texas has a wine country?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Okay. Now this is getting really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, which I've never been to. I lived there for 13 years and I never went.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
So I could go on and on because I have so many questions, but I would love to have you back to ask more questions, but our time is about up. So absolutely. I know there aren't many Latinas in engineering, and so I know people would want to follow you. would you mind sharing your Instagram handle?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's Latinas Need Space. And I actually created that at the beginning of this year. During the pandemic, I started perusing Instagram a little bit more, and I realized that I needed to share my story.
Yes, you do.
And this is why I created this Instagram account, to motivate all the little girls and little boys that maybe don't know about the space industry, and maybe this will motivate more women, more Latinas to get into this industry, that it can be done. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of hard work, not easy, lots of studying, but it's doable. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's no more to say. Thank you, Patty. High five. We did it. Woo! See you next time.